Hello everybody. This is part 15 on how to create your own Android launcher / home screen application. And last time we were looking into caching, we were looking into saving stuff that we put onto home screen. And before we actually load that from the serialized file onto home screen from when starting up, I do want to go ahead and change the tag whenever we are adding this app. So let's change the tag to, we don't need to do an array for the data. We really can just set the tag to the pack. So the pack to add. And we can add this, do Control X, and we can add that right after we cache the icon. And so now the tag is pack to add, and now from the drawer click listener, we need to change it so it's using this method. So if we go into, or not drawer click listener, I mean home screen app click listener. If you go into app click listener, we're not going to make the data into a tag, I mean into an array of strings, but into a pack, which is one of the classes we made. So instead of an array of strings, the data will be just a pack. And then we can do, for get component name, or for the component name, it wants the package and class. So let's see, string for package and string for class. And you can see, okay, so we just do data dot package name, comma, data dot name. Alright, so now let's go into the main activity and set up an async task in order to get all the packages. This is because getting all these packages can take a while, and like I said in the last video, we're going to do an async task in order to get all the packages loaded for the drawer, but then we'll just run on the UI thread in order to add the apps to home screen. That way, whenever you start up the application, the home screen apps will be instantly loaded onto home screen, and the drawer apps will be loading in the background. So in order to do this, let's set up an async task. And so we start out with public class. We can call this load apps, and then we do extends async task. Now do the open brackets and the close brackets, and then let's do Control-Shift-O to get all the imports. Now for the result, we actually don't need that imported. We can just change this to a string, and let's use string void string. And now we're going to have to add unimplemented methods. There's a do in background method, as well as a post method. So let's add that on post method. We'll have this overridden, and it'll be a protected void on post execute, and we pass in a string, which is the result. Now we're going to basically be copying the setPacks method. So in the do in background, we're going to want to do everything that is not on the UI thread, because if we do anything that is modifying the UI thread, then it's going to have an error. So we can see here we are loading all these apps, we are sorting them, we're theming them, and then down here is UI stuff. So we can cut this, or actually let's just copy it so we can keep this method here just in case, and we put it in the background method. And we don't need to return a result. Maybe later on, if you needed to for some reason, you could do that. And then we can just use this. So for the init, we can, since it's basically, okay, here's what we can do. Instead of using init, let's copy this, let's put it in the onPost execute, and instead of saying if init, we can just say if drawer adapter object equals null. Then we know it's gonna need to initialize. And for new drawer adapter this, instead of this, we add in, if we have a context, we have activity as a context, so we can just use activity. And same with this, we use activity. And same with drawer long click listener activity. Alright, and so that should be working for the async task. Now let's actually use the async task. So before we're using setPacks, so let's see where we use this. So here we see this is the initializing setPacks function. Now instead of that, we can do new load apps dot execute, and we don't need really any parameters, so we can just pass in, or yeah, we don't need to pass in anything. And let's comment out the setPacks, and I'm gonna just check real quick if this works. Alright, so yeah, it works just fine. It opens the app instantly, but it takes a little bit of time to load the drawer, about 3 or 4 seconds at least for my device. Now if you wanted, you could add a loading bar in the drawer just so people know it's actually loading, but as for now, I'm not going to do that. We actually do have one more place where we're using that old setPacks method. That is in the onReceive method, where a new app is installed. So let's just do the same thing there. A new loadapps.execute. And keep in mind, this may, if let's say you are first starting the app and then something gets installed right once that happens, and then this executes, it could cause an issue. So if you wanted, you could put a boolean in the load app, or in the main activity class, to check if it's loading the drawer, and if it is, just skip this. So or just queue it to go run afterwards. So I'm not gonna do that, but yeah, like I said, we're gonna get the get it to load the apps onto home screen. So let's make a new method. We'll call it public void add apps to home Alright, so that is our method. First thing we need to do is grab the data from serialization tools. So let's do app serializable data data equals serialization tools dot load serialized data, and if data is not equal to null, just in case it has no data has been saved yet, then it would be null. So we're going to do a for loop for the data. So we can do one of those for loops like this. Pack to add to home, the two dots, and data dot apps. Now this is where we're going to add the pack to the home screen, but when I'm thinking about it, it's going to be basically the same as the draw or long click, how that's added, how it's adding the apps to the home screen. So we can actually add basically the same thing that we used for adding it to the home screen in there, but I'm thinking if we can just build that into the pack class, actually it would be pretty easy. It'd be pretty cool to do it that way. So we can do public void add to home inside of the actual pack class, and inside of here we're going to copy a lot of the draw or long click listener things. So let's look at how it's done in here. We got a layout params LP equals new layout params, layout inflator, and then we're getting linear layout on long click listener, set on click listener, yeah, and we have it set the tag, and then it's added. So from here we can copy all this into the pack.add to home all the way up to the set on click listener. Now we're gonna need to pass in a few things, and for one thing, the item.getWidth and item.getHeight, we can just change that to layout params dot wrap content. Make sure it's viewGroup dot layout params. We can do wrap content for the width and the height. And then instead of the lp.leftMargin equals item.getX, it will just be X from the pack class. And same with this, that will just be Y. The M context, that's what we'll need to pass in. Context, M context. So we'll be passing in that so we can get the layout inflator. And now for setting the image drawable, that would be pack.icon, or that would be pack.icon, which we just do icon. Set image drawable, and we're passing in we're passing in icon from the pack class. And for set text, it would be label, passing in label. Alright, and then for setting the on click listener, so we're actually not using the packs for listener. So if we go into the app click listener, we can change that. Now if we look in here, we're not using this for anything, so let's just remove that and remove it from here and remove it from the constructor. Now let's go into draw our long click listener. Let's fix this. We don't need to pass in packs anymore. And let's look into the pack class. We don't need to pass in packs for listener. So now let's go back into the draw our long click listener and do the rest of the UI stuff to add to the home page. So we can see that in the draw our long click listener, we are setting up the pack data, which we don't need to add into the pack class. That will be separate. And here's the rest of the UI stuff. Now, if we don't need to do the animate close in the pack class, we can keep that in this class. So really, all we need is this, the home view for adapter.addView. So let's copy that and paste it into here. Now the home view for adapter. So for the home view for adapter, we can just pass that in. So we know it's a relative layout. Home view for adapter. So we can pass that in for the add to home method. And so now let's go into the draw long click listener, and we can remove a lot of this. For example, we can remove from the creating the layout parameters all the way down to set on click listener. So we can remove that. We have this object data here. We're adding the object data. Now the lp.left margin, instead of lp.left margin, we do item.getX and item.getY. So right here, item.getX and item.getY. And we can cast this to an integer. Do the same for X and Y. Alright, and for the setting tag, we should have done that in the pack class. Did we do that in the pack class? So we did not do that in the pack class. So we do, now for setting the tag, we do ll.set tag and this. And this is referring to the object pack, this whole object. So that would work in replacement. So draw that on click listener. We can remove the .set tag method, and after we add this app and serialize it, here is where it's added. So instead of having home view for adapter.addView, let's replace that with pack to add to home, and mContext and home view for adapter is already initialized. Now you can see how that can make it very easy when loading the apps. So let's go back into main activity, and where we have the method to add apps to home, all we have to do now is do pack to add to home dot add to home and pass in the context, which is this. And for the home view for adapter, we have home view declared in main activity, and so now it should work. So let's go ahead and test that. So finally, we need to call this method add apps to home from within on create. So if we go, we can do it right after the load apps and just call add apps to home. Now let's go ahead and test it. Alright, so the one issue when testing is that the icons were not showing, and that's because we weren't loading the icons. We didn't call get cached icon, and when we call get cached icon, we get the bitmap. So what we need to do is in the setting image drawable, which is right here, we need to detect if icon is null. So if icon equals null, then we do icon equals new bitmap drawable, and we pass in resource and the bitmap. So if for the we do m context dot get resources, and then comma the bitmap, which would be get cached icon. Get cached icon. And here, now it should be loading the icon. Alright, so I got Android screen monitor up, and I'm going to show you what we have. So I'm going to press the basic launcher app. So it just opened up, and it's taking a little bit of time to load. Okay, here you can see that it is opened up, and the reason I say it's taking long to load is Android screen monitor takes a long time to load, not the actual app. The actual app loads up instantly, and you can see how everything's added. The only thing is you can see how the apps are actually added on top of the drawer. So let's go ahead and fix that. So in the pack class, you can see where we're actually adding the view. Now in order to fix this issue, inside of the pack class and home view for adapter.addView, we can add a 0 here. If you look for all the methods, we have child, index, and layout parameters. So let's do the child. The index will be 0, and the layout parameters. Now this will add the view to the bottom of the hierarchy, so it will not be on top of the drawer. So now you can see how it is perfect now. How the apps in the background are not above the drawer. Alright guys, so thanks for watching. This was part 15, talking about how we can load the cached icons, load the cached apps from the serializable class, and add them on to the home page, as well as an async task for loading apps in the background. That's basically what we covered this part, so thank you all for watching.